But the best video ever.
This is great.
We got 25 minutes. We gotta go. Hey, yo.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump Day is back. All right,
We're
guys.
excited to be with you guys. I hope everybody had an amazing holiday weekend with their families, right? Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Seriously.
Lots of good food, good people to be around. I'm excited.
If everybody out of the country, we hope you guys had, I'm sure it in some way still had affected you guys. Hope you had a great weekend and excited to have you guys back here as we jump into another amazing topic. Guys, if this is your first time to the channel, please like, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you guys know every single week when we guys are about to drop something. Guys, today is going to be really, really exciting. I love the topic that we're going to discuss today because it is in part about the economy and some money. So let us jump into it. Seriously. All right. Today's question, guys, let's get that drum roll, please. Guys, today's question
Is Black Friday helpful for the economy?
Money, 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 money. I should have had a thing that run right into that. Money. Like, seriously, right?
All right. So, Black Friday, let's talk about it. It just occurred. Well, you know what's so funny? You brought up, like, if you're in a different part of the world, you know, I hope you had a good weekend and stuff like that. Like, there's definitely a Thanksgiving in the United States. Is there a Thanksgiving in other parts of the world? Because this really lines up for us for Thanksgiving. I know Canada has like a completely different day for their Thanksgiving. We will do another show where we talk about the actual significance of Thanksgiving, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the day after Thanksgiving, which is Black Friday. So for those of you who don't know, let's define what Black Friday is first, right? Black Friday, at least in the United States, came about because it was the day when businesses wanted to do two things. One, get rid of old stock, stuff that they had a lot of, right? And they would sell it at a really discounted rate.
Yeah.
And they would sell it at such a discounted rate. People got really excited because they got a good deal, right? And then they had so many sales that day that instead of being in the red, meaning like they're in debt, they didn't make a profit that day, they'd actually be in the black, meaning they ended up getting a huge profit. And so that's why it's called Black Friday, black indicating that businesses are in the black, they're making profit. So it's a profitable day for businesses. It really is just a reflection of business as a whole. I think it speaks to the capitalist nature in which we live in. That there's an entire day that literally is a description about business. Yeah. So no conspiracy theories there. It actually doesn't really have anything to do with Black people. But it's important to note, to distinguish between the two. So what I think is fascinating is that Winston actually we were just talking about different things that we found, and he was actually looking at what other countries have a Black Friday. So I am really fascinated to know this.
Yeah, so that part was interesting to me because of what you just said. I know all these places don't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving. And so the correlation then about this day that comes after this holiday that is really about getting your business boosted, you know, getting profits coming in. I thought that was fascinating as well. So Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, Italy, Greece, New Zealand, India, Norway, Sweden, France, Brazil, and Mexico are the other countries, that actually
they all have
Black Friday. Yeah. And
In
again,
most
I
times
love
you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Like
no, and that's what I mean. So that's what I thought. But it's kind of like some of that bubble that we tend to be in when we live here in the U.S. We swear everything revolves around the U.S. culture.
right.
But again, knowing the history of Black Friday helps a lot. The other aspect of it, in terms of answering the question about the helpfulness of it to the economy, and I'm definitely excited to get into this because there are a lot of talking points that we have. One thing that I noticed when I looked it up, the boost to the stocks and trading actually happens leading into the weekend or into the holiday, not during the holiday.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
obviously stocks is not a retail. It's so that way the market itself is actually closed. So there's a lot of holiday buy-in going into the holiday. And I know something you found, it kind of speaks to people's mindset around not the strength of the dollar necessarily, but just the strength of the economy as a whole. Yeah, right. That people tend to be buying more stocks, buying more things as we lead into that weekend. So the boost to the stock market, it's not something that you can set your clock to. So unlike maybe other traditional markets, whether it be retail sales, online sales, things like that, the stock market's boost is not necessarily directly correlated to the actual holiday.
Very interesting. So we have a question in the chat. Yeah, Nadia was asking on the same day as the U.S. as well. I actually had that question too, so I'm glad you asked it, Nadia.
I will double check that part. It just showed that they observe it, and Black Friday is they have it the following Thursday of the U.S. Thanksgiving, and some observe Cyber Monday as well, which I know when I was growing up as a kid wasn't even a thing.
Here's where that comes. I mean, like talking about like economy and world economies, right? So the reason why, okay, again, I'm not about to talk about conspiracies, but I am about to say something that usually people think about when they think of conspiracies: the world order. So when you talk about the world order of economies, right now, America is at the top of the world order of economy because most people, like if they can, they will compare their
currency or their denomination
to the US dollar. Like the US dollar is the standard. The way that happens, that it becomes a standard, is because it's the economy that is just using the money the most. They're buying more from other people, they're selling more to other people. So you just find more of that currency around the world because they're just doing the most. And so that has been the case for quite some time. And that is why the US dollar is considered the standard. And in terms of the world order of economy, it is the top of the world order of economy. Now, in saying that, it brings me to this whole point about all these other countries that have Black Friday the same day as the US Black Friday, but it's because I bet you a lot of Americans are buying products
from the
internationally, right? Like it doesn't have to be an American-made product, but they're expecting a Black Friday deal on that particular day, and so now these countries have to follow suit in order to respond to the market, right? Like the market is requiring a sale on a particular day in November, and it's like, well, if we want to, service the people or our market, our customers, then we have to follow suit. And so it just kind of tracks with like the world economy thing and the world order, that the US is right now. I'm not saying that this can't change, but as of right now, it stands the same. So that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you know that's how, like, because we're such a global economy now, it totally makes sense that there are other countries that would have to do that because we're not buying from America. We're not buying from American companies anymore.
I would also say the thing that's made a huge impact is we have shipping models now that I want to say we didn't have when, let's say, you and I were like kids growing up. So you have the ability to get products to other parts of the world at a cost that wasn't necessarily the case before. Like I look it up now, it says Cyber Monday started in 2005. And the largest one that they had was a record $6.59 billion compared to 2.9. So it's almost a $5 billion in growth
increase. Wow.
1 year. Wow. Since that and I'm talking about just the Cyber Monday, guys. I'm not talking about that whole as a whole, the weekend essentially runs from that Wednesday, because there are businesses that are offering deals. And if you guys, and we'll get into some of this as well, many people who are doing their own home-based business starts promoting Black Friday deals, I would say the week out. Some
Yep.
people start breadcrumbing a month out, 2 months out, if they know what their company, if you're in network marketing, if you know what it is that we're going to be giving deals or on sales on, people start talking about that. If you're in a company in the following year, you know that they had something that's kind of like a standard, you start talking to people about that early. And then in traditional businesses, we start seeing Black Friday commercials. I honestly want to say, even all the way up, like talking from Halloween.
The minute Halloween is done,
like it's like you start
Black
seeing
Friday
Black
deals.
Friday deals coming. It's like it really is insane. I think what's changed is maybe you're not seeing people storm stores like they used to.
Right.
And that's something that I thought was like a that's what kept me out of a lot of Black Fridays, was watching people get trampled on the news. Was just like, why would you put yourself through that for $500?
So interestingly enough, the statistics speak to that as well. We all know that during COVID, economy was where it's at. Everybody was ordering stuff and getting it delivered to your door. And so now COVID has made it a norm. So Black Friday deals are, you could go into the store, but the truth of the matter is everybody knows that. Small businesses, big businesses, everybody knows that your Black Friday deals needs to be happening online. Like people want to find them online. And yet still, even with the current, so it's slightly a recession, but more so everybody's worried about inflation, right? So everything costs more, right? Gas costs more, milk costs more, food costs more, clothes cost more, everything costs more. Right? And so if people are pinching their dollars, the question is, are they still going to be shopping for Black Friday? There was a lot of question about whether that was going to occur, if they were going to see the typical boost that we would normally see during this period. And statistically, what we found is that Americans did by leaps and bounds. Like the amount of spending that happened this particular holiday season, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, is a lot more by the billions than what we've done in the past, even with inflation. And so economists typically use this as an indicator to see, like, okay, do people feel confident in the economy? Like, do they feel like things are going well? And it also is an indicator, like, how do people feel about their extra spending money, right? Like if they just have this money to spend, like they feel comfortable spending it. And when they looked at the numbers more closely, or even not even the numbers, but they were able to like track like how long people looked at certain deals, how many times they came back to a certain deal. And so what it looks like actually is that because of inflation, people were taking a longer time to make purchases. They were actually able to track that. So even though they spent more, they took longer to actually make the purchase, because again, they want their dollar to stretch by so much. And if you're going to get the best deals during Black Friday or Cyber Monday, they want that money to stretch as far as possible. And they're going to look for the best deals. So even though everybody was spending a whole ton, they were still doing it because they know, like, outside of this weekend, they may not be able to afford, what they would typically be able to buy. So I think it's really fascinating that it's a little bit more nuanced. Shock. Oh my God, Americans are spending more than they thought in the middle of inflation. But yet when you look more at the details, it's like, they're doing it because they know that this is how they can make their dollar stretch.
That's still really interesting as a whole, because then it kind of speaks to the psychology of the holiday and how I think people are aware of what's happening. Like I remember when the inflation thing was a much bigger talking point. I feel like it was, but now it almost feels normalized. Like the increased costs of things, you know what I mean? Like initially it was like that whole, I'm paying a quarter more. And now you're just kind of like, I pay a quarter more. I feel like even for people who are shopping online, I think people have always kind of wanted to look for the best deals, but now you're like really conscious. Like if I could save an extra $25 off of this place, I'll wait till, you know what I mean? And to your point, the stats actually speak to that. But I know you said that you had found something else, because it also spoke to not only the spending habits, but how people were able to afford.
Yes. So in the same article, now, okay, wait for it. Please don't feel called out after I say this.
We're talking to you. We're talking to you.
The research suggests that 81% of the people who were buying, and this is in the billions of dollars, right? So billions of dollars were spent on Black Friday. Of the billions of dollars, 81% of that was bought using credit cards.
Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
81% of people use credit cards to make the purchases that they made for Black Friday. That scared me. I saw that and I was like, I am really scared by that. Because that means this isn't an indicator of, oh, how do people feel about spending,
the strength of the economy.
They're not spending surplus money. They're spending money they don't have. They're using a credit card. Let me just make this. I'm not calling you out if this is you.
But we are.
81%. Because the question then becomes, the holidays are done. How are you paying back the credit cards? How are you paying back this debt? So at one time, I went through all the emotions at one time. Like at one moment, I was like, oh my God, look at us. Like we're spending more. And apparently the US did. In Europe, Europeans did not spend more this particular holiday season. They're actually feeling according to them, the people showed how they feel about inflation based on the fact that they did not show up. Yeah, they did not spend. So Americans, go figure, are out here flossing with their credit cards.
Good. So now that Janelle has dropped that out there, no. And here's the thing, because that to me is the biggest. When she told me that was the biggest bit of information I need to feel like the answer to this question is no. And the reason is there's statistics that are thrown around, like again, the initial statistics that we shared, 9-point-something billion or $6-point-something billion spent on Cyber Monday. And all those things sound great, guys. Their stocks prices are all based on things like that. Oh, we're spending so much money. But when you pull back the curtains and you actually look at the numbers, you're seeing we're spending money that 81% of the money spent, they don't even have it. And yet they're counting this as profits when you don't know a large percentage. You can look up the statistics for this. Those people aren't going to pay that money back because inflation is still inflation is still growing. So those people are still having to make general purchases that they can't charge off with less money than they had before. And we haven't even hit Christmas yet. Assuming many people probably did get their Christmas.
That's the idea, right? People are trying to get all their Christmas gifts now, right? During Black Friday. That's the idea. However, we all know that the sales continue until Christmas.
All the way up and through. So guys,
they won't be as good as Black Friday, but you continue to have some sales.
We would love to hear your thoughts on this. Based on what you guys have heard, do you think, answer the question, Black Friday, if you're not using your money to buy things and you're borrowing against credit cards, which again, we aren't here to tell you what to do, to Janelle's point. We're not talking about you. We are. But do you guys think it is helpful for the economy if it's being done that way?
Yeah.
I saw there's something. I got a question already. Oh, did you throw that up? I think I took it off. Okay, cool.
All right. So Brittany's asking, first stating that's bananas. I agree, it's bananas. So the counter question, how do you feel this will affect the economy and our growth as a whole? That was it. I was completely shocked at first. Like, what are people doing? Because the real question is what's going to happen after Christmas?
Yeah. They're waiting for their tax money to pay this off.
That's what it is. They're waiting for their tax money to pay it off. And
I think that's the issue now. But think about it. Before, wouldn't they used to? No, but that's the thing. In order for you to get these deals now, because your tax money doesn't guarantee you deals during those periods when people get their money back.
No,
we do see sales go up. You can look that up and see that after that period of the earliest tax return to whatever that period is towards the summer, you see more people spending money on products and travel with their tax returns. But I think what people are doing is an influx this year. And I don't know the stats. Maybe this isn't odd that people are charging a lot of their Black Friday. I've literally, until you told me this, I'd never even considered that statistic.
Oh, like how
I'd
many people
always just thought, oh,
do?
Black Friday is great sales wise, but I never thought, what
I
are
don't think
people
it's normally that high.
using?
Somebody go Google it real quick and tell us, because the
No,
article
seriously, yeah.
that I read was also shocked by that percentage. So it
Oh, so it's
doesn't
probably
seem like
not the
that's a
norm.
normal
Yeah,
percentage.
because I know people make purchases on credit card, but
Yeah.
81%.
I mean, I get it, right? Because like credit cards give bonuses. So you may like use your credit card. So that way you get your points and then pay the credit card right away. I've done that before. I've totally done that before just because I want to like rack up the points or whatever. But even the people reading the writing the article were like 81%.
Yeah, it's bananas.
The amount of debt that people are racking up is not good for
to save a couple $100.
No, yeah. And for the economy, yeah, okay, it's great for a weekend, but then how does this build the economy for the rest of the year? I don't think this is a good sign. I don't think this is a good sign at all. Even if they get their, their check back from income taxes and yeah, they like pay that off. Okay, fine. They pay off their credit card bill, but I doubt it pays off the credit card bill. I'm sure they're still going to have a balance. And
that
many people still use that tax return to exactly
pay other things,
get other things, travel, do other things. And don't get us wrong, Winston and I will be the first ones to tell you that travel is the investment that like is
you can't get that. Yeah, there's no
like,
dollar there.
There's nothing better than travel. So I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not paying your credit card bill. So you're amassing debt, and what for the rest of the year, Americans will be really scared to spend. And so what does that say about the economy? They don't feel confident in the economy. Where
stocks go down.
Exactly. And then the country has to continue to borrow money to pay off debt, to do all these things. Who do you think they're borrowing money from?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say it. China is one of the countries where not just America, but a lot of countries are borrowing money from China in order to pay off debts. And if the yen becomes the number one circulated finances, the number one circulated currency,
the gold standard,
the gold standard, the US dollar is no longer the top of the world order of economy, right? Like it will be the Chinese yen. So not to scare anyone, but just to like educate people so that you understand like what this means. It's really interesting what we're finding. Okay, so I'm going to add one more comment, which I did find fascinating. So in terms of local business, so for those of you out there that are small business owners, this is important. And I do want to get this message out there on behalf of all small business owners out there. Buying from a small business is important during the holiday season. It does a lot for the local economy and businesses. And the reason why is because there's a business tax, right? A sales tax. So anytime you buy something and the sales tax is applied, that tax goes into that local economy. So it helps that town, that city, that neighborhood, right? And certainly you're helping the small business owner by putting the money directly into their pockets instead of sending the money to some big, I don't know, like a Macy's.
She's talking about Amazon, guys.
Yeah. Pretty much.
We're coming at you, Jeff.
But
talking directly to you.
But that's it, right? Like that's something that's important. And I didn't even think about that because most of us are just like, oh man, this sales tax. And if you're in New York like us, like, oh man, this sales tax, like it's a lot. But to recognize like, oh, like the money that you're paying towards sales, like imagine if all these people in New York are paying all this sales tax, all of a sudden there's like a spike in how much money is going towards like building up your community, right? Like helping fill potholes or, helping schools, whatever that is, right? Like it helps that local community. So it is something to take into consideration. If at all possible, I would consider, I know we don't like the crowds. The crowds are officially over as far as I'm concerned. Like the biggest crowd you're going to get is Black Friday. And so after this, maybe a little bit more crowded because it's still the holidays, but if you can, I would say, support your local business owners.
Local.
It'll help. It'll help your small business owner. It helps your local economy.
Guys, even that's new for me to learn. Money is such a powerful tool. And I feel like there's an education that's necessary around it because even something like that's so powerful. You know what I mean? Like to know that if you spent more money locally, what that does. Literally, I'm walking around today and I live in an area that has like West Indian restaurant, things like that. And I personally know of 3 other West Indian restaurants that sell a certain product there. And literally, as I'm walking by, I see another one that's about to open up to sell the same product. And I'm just like, make it as for all who wants to know, there's a new Jamaican patty spot up on Rockaway. And in my mind, however, there's another one that sells primarily that. There's 2 that sell Jamaican food and patties. And I'm just like, why would you open another patty spot not even a block away from 3 other patty spots?
Yeah.
In with everything that you can open. But I say that to say it's cool to know what you just shared, Janelle, that purchasing from them helps that local economy, because there's a lot of I think there's just a lot of knowledge around money that would be very helpful for us.
That's helpful for people. Yeah. So when you see that small business, like I think Saturday was Small Business Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if people really understand like what that means. People, like business owners are using that money to like pay bills, feed their families. Like it's a real thing. Yeah, for sure. So I see that there's another.
We're coming for you, Jeff. All right, we got one question. And
would you say that based on the pandemic, do you see more people are using tax returns to conquer debt mounted from the pandemic? I don't know. I mean, that's a great question.
Hard to track.
I think it's too early to know for sure, because we're like just coming out of the pandemic. So this tax season will be the first
tax season since without since the unemployment.
Been, like, up. Exactly.
The first full year of everyone that was off unemployment is this 2022 year.
Right.
So yeah, when we get the tax returns in May-ish or whatever,
right,
we'll probably have the stats on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I think it'll be interesting to take a look at that.
Yeah, that really will be. Great question. Thank you, guys.
One other thing I wanted to say, because everybody knows, like Winston and I are network marketers as well, or relationship marketers. And small business does include your friend or family member who's a part of a network marketing business.
Yeah.
So if they're selling, wraps, if they're selling electricity, if they're selling skincare products, nutritional products, travel products. That's your timer. I just want to let you guys know, buying from them is considered local or small business because they make commission personally to themselves.
That state,
if you in the state that they live in, based on you purchasing through them. So please go out and support all of your friends and family who are part of network marketing. Consider them a part of Small Business Saturday, or your small business purchases.
Bonus training. That is some good stuff, guys. Thank you so much. This was I love talking money. A great episode. If you guys got value from this, please drop some fire in.
Drop the fire emojis if this was good.
And if you guys didn't get a chance, last week we did an overview of our overtime segment, which is available through Patreon. If you are not familiar and you want to see some bonus content from guests we've had on, even some bloopers Janelle and I have from outtakes on the show, definitely go check out our Patreon, or become a Patreon community member and go check out Patreon. The information for that is in the description below. And as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that. Have an amazing week, you guys.